This is going to be a tutorial on how to draw a final 1-point perspective drawing. In this drawing today, we are going to be drawing 3 buildings. We are going to be drawing an ocean and a little island kind of hanging out in the background. To start off, what you are going to need is a pencil, preferably with an eraser, and a ruler. Where this starts is always, whenever you are making a perspective drawing, you are always starting with a horizon line. A horizon line always runs from left to right, and you want it to be at the center of the page or perhaps a little bit higher. I'm going to put mine about right here, and it is absolutely imperative, super important that you draw this line lightly. We do not want this to be a heavy line. The reason being is when we are creating perspective drawings, there are going to be moments where we want to erase things. We don't always necessarily want to keep every line we draw, but it's important that we know where they go, where they belong. Next, what we're going to do is you are going to find the center of that line. Perspective drawings have a way of looking a little bit more natural when you put your vanishing point right in the middle of that line. In the case of your paper, you're going to be using a paper that is 9 by 12 inches, 9 this way, 12 this way. And so what that means is the halfway point would be around 6 inches. You can either measure or you can take an estimation, but it's going to land right around there. So we have a horizon line and a vanishing point. Next, what we are going to do is we are going to start creating our buildings. Like I said, when you are working on these, you want to try and keep as light as possible, your lines nice and light. So what we're going to do is we are going to put a rectangle that is going off the page a bit. So we have a line going at the bottom, and we're going to draw a vertical line that nearly reaches the top. And then a horizontal line at the top. Like so. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to connect 2 of these points to the vanishing point using a ruler. It's important when you are doing these drawings that you are using a ruler for every line you draw. If you are freehanding it and you are just going for it, it is not going to look as crisp or good. So I just put little dots at the corner of each of these to kind of denote where my lines are connecting to. So I want to make sure that my ruler matches up with the vanishing point, and it matches up with that bottom right corner. And I'm going to draw a very light line connecting to the vanishing point, directly to it. And again, it's important that we use our rulers anytime we are completing any of these steps. So we have this corner connected to the vanishing point. We are also going to connect this top corner. Oh, I made a little mistake there. Lucky for me, I'm drawing light. So on your paper, I'm making these quite dark just so you can see them. On your own paper, you should be making them very light as possible. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to add some lines. And those lines are going to be here, and you're going to set your ruler vertically, and you are going to draw a vertical line here, about a little less than halfway to the vanishing point, and right next to it, you're going to draw a second one. All of these lines are going the same direction. This line, this line, this line, they are all going straight up and down. They're matching the edges of the paper. They're all going vertical. And on the second line, you're going to put 2 points, one on either end. 1, 2. We're going to repeat this process going further down the page. We are going to take our ruler, move it a bit further down, and we're going to make another couple lines, both of them vertical again. 1, and 2, and you're going to want these 2 to be just a little closer together, like so. So we have 1, 2. The second one has points on either end. 3, 4, and we're going to add those points on that end of this one as well. So currently, we have all of this so far. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 points on either end. We are going to add one more line, and that line is going to be further down, and that line is going to be right here. Good. Now is a point where you're going to need to make sure that you have a trusty eraser on you. We are going to erase several of these lines that we don't need anymore. You'll notice our horizon line, that first line we do is that we drew, is cutting through all of these pieces that we just built. We are going to erase it in those spots. So I'm going to erase here. And luckily, if you followed instructions, you drew it light enough where it won't even leave a mark. For me, it's leaving a mark. But for you, it shouldn't. So we have erased all of those places where it crosses over these shapes and in between them. Next, what we're going to do is we are going to erase these little diagonals in between those lines we just drew. Excellent. All right. Once we have that, we are going to draw horizontal lines, lines that go left to right. So our horizon line is a horizontal line, goes left to right. We're going to be drawing horizontal lines from each one of these points that you hopefully put in here. Putting those points, for whatever reason, it just kind of helps people with this step. So I'm going to come up here and I'm going to draw a horizontal line, and from this point a horizontal line, and I'm going to do the same down here. Horizontal, horizontal. And now already you can kind of see we kind of in one shot we made 3 buildings. 1, 2, 3. They are missing details, which we are going to cover now. So let's kind of flesh this out a little bit. Let's give it a little bit more detail to make it more interesting. The rule is any of the buildings faces that are facing the road. Imagine there's a road right here, and that face is facing the road. This face is facing the road. This face is facing the road. All 3 of those faces are facing the road. The tops and bottoms of doors and windows, and this will make sense in a sec, I promise, but the tops and bottoms of doors and windows will always point right back to the vanishing point. And here's an example of that. Let's start one up. So over here, I'm going to draw an extremely light line, you know, to here or so. So let me remove my ruler so you can see. So I put a dot, maybe like a quarter of the way or a little less than a quarter of the way up the side of this building. And I'm going to draw a diagonal line connecting to the vanishing point. Super, super light, barely pressing down. This is a guideline. We plan on erasing most of it, but you'll see that that is going to be the top of each door. The rule for doors and windows is that the tops and bottoms of them always point to the vanishing point, but the sides are always vertical. They go the same direction as the edges of walls. So we have these 2 vertical lines here. I can put in a vertical line here and a vertical line here. Again, they are going the exact same direction as the walls over here of this building, straight up and down. Kids, for whatever reason, they want to put them diagonally. You can always check and be like, all right, I'm holding my pencil against the door here. It is matching the same exact direction as the edge of the paper. That is what vertical is in this instance. So here, let's do an easy door. Let's make our lives easy here. So I'm going to put little doorknob. And maybe there's a little deadbolt or lock here underneath it. It's a nice little detail. And naturally, as we go to the next building, which is further away, it appears smaller. That door that we put there is also going to be smaller. We're going to, again, put in 2 verticals. And you're not beholden to make doors that look like this. You can change things up if you want. For example, maybe on this door, at the top, there's kind of like this little arch or something. Maybe there's like a window pane up there, like a little design. And maybe even down here on this one, I put in another 2 vertical lines. And maybe we'll curve the top of that door so it's kind of like an arch. Now, naturally, we use this line to figure out where the top of each door is to make sure that they stay the same size the further down you go. They get smaller and smaller. It helps you place exactly where the top of the door is, but that's really all it's good for. We do not need the remainder of the parts of that line, so we can take a moment and erase. Half of the battle with making a perspective drawing is making light guidelines to help you place things, only to erase, honestly, like 90% of them later on. So boom, we have some doors, we have some buildings. Currently though, they are missing windows. Here is an easy step for doing windows. So about, see where we put that dot there? That's like the top of the door. About halfway between there and the top of the building, I want you to put a dot. So another one here. So there's the middle, there's our first dot, there's our second one way up at the top, and this dot is about halfway. We are going to put one underneath it, and I'm going to put one further down and one further up. And if you measure with your fingers, these two should be about the same. If they're not, it's going to look a little bit wrong when you do it. You are going to connect, again, very lightly. You're going to create guidelines that connect to the vanishing point. So we're going to connect this one super light, this one super light, this one, and this one. Like that. And it kind of gives us this framework by which we can start adding windows. And really all that would look like is just adding some vertical lines. So I can add 1, 2, and there are 2 windows now. And I'm going to add one that gets a little bit bigger on this end, so that way it looks like it's in perspective, because as things get away from us, they get smaller. So we have 2 windows here. And you can always add those details in. The details that you add are going to be a big part of your grade on this project. So you want to make sure that not only are you having the things you need, the buildings themselves, drawn in perspective, but you're also going to the effort of trying to make these places feel like real places. They have real world details. So for me, I look at these and I'm like, oh, they need window panes. And you know what? Let's get some more detail in there. Maybe I'll make them 2x4 window panes. That looks pretty nice. And you'll notice I am working a little bit quickly. The smartest thing you can do would be to use a ruler for every single one of those straight lines, just to keep things as perfect as possible. Another thing you could do, for example, on this house, maybe I want, instead of these rectangular windows, I want these sort of porthole, sort of round windows, and we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have a few windows here, a few windows here, And lastly, let's just do some normal rectangular windows here. Maybe we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And with a snap of my fingers, I'm going to make all of those extra lines we don't need disappear. There we go. Now, still a little bit sketchy. I need to go in and firm up some of my lines, but we can always worry about that later. We want to see if we can get the rest of this street figured out. Now, we're going to put in a few more diagonal lines that determine where the road goes. So we're going to put in one that goes here, and it connects right to the vanishing point. And I like making things look three-dimensional any chance I get, just to make things look as professional as possible. I'm going to put another line next to it, and that's going to make it seem like that sidewalk has a little bit more substance to it. It actually feels like blocks of concrete. And down the middle, we're going to put two lines that are close together. One, and they both connect to the vanishing point. Two, like so. That's going to be the median in the road, that middle section of the road. And we want to make sure that when we're placing the other side of the road, that we keep it nice and even. So you'll notice that I ended my road a little over here. So we want to make sure that we put little marks to denote where we want it to end. So just to keep things even. So I am figuring like that's about even on either side. Like those points here are about the same distance from this edge as that edge. And I can come back in and connect those points. Certain details that we won't cover today that could make your piece look even better are objects in the windows. You can make little boxes in the windows for flowers. You can put graffiti in the alleyways, and that looks really cool. You can add mailboxes. You can add all sorts of things. People, cars, if you're feeling brave enough to do so. Over here, we're going to add a second line. And this is going to be the sidewalk on the other side of the street. And again, I want to make sure that I'm keeping it consistent with the width of the sidewalk on this side. So we have a sidewalk on the other side. And for the sake of keeping things fairly simple, I think it would be cool if we turned this entire area over here into a beach. Over here, I'm going to start at my vanishing point, and coming out diagonally, I'm going to kind of do these wavy lines that kind of come out and back in, and that almost looks like a shoreline. You can even put people surfing out there or people hanging out on the beach. Maybe there's an umbrella over here. What the heck? Let's put one in. So we have an umbrella. Maybe there's a beach blanket and a pail and shovel. So you can add those little details, and that looks really cool. And this area over here feels very flat to me. I think it could be cool for us to add a little island over here. Maybe this area kind of veers off a little bit and forms an island on this end. And I'm kind of just doing this bumpy line. It's really far away, so the mountains in here are like very, very tiny. You can even put little boxes along here to show that maybe there's more buildings in the distance. Maybe up here there's like a radio tower or something. And overall, that's kind of it. I mean, we can continue to just add more details. There's all different types of things you can do. And I want you in your final to add more of those things. Again, I added the basics, windows, doors, the buildings. But add more details. Get creative with this. If you really want to do something wild, like add aliens invading or something like that, you could 100% do that. and it will make your piece even that much more interesting. In fact, what the heck, let's just add aliens to it. If you would rather not add aliens to yours, you definitely do not have to. But I just want to show this as an example of when you add detail, different than the ones that are just being prescribed to you through the lesson, it makes your piece more unique and more interesting, and it makes people want to look at it more. However, I trust that not everyone's just going to copy me on this and have a UFO in their piece. I want you to really express yourself and make your own thing. Maybe there's a little figure up here manning some controls. And maybe they're zooming from behind those buildings. We can add a sun. We can add some clouds. Again, those details go a long, long way. And sometimes it's nice to have details like that peeking through. Areas overlapping. This building is overlapping this cloud. All right, well, this here is essentially the basics of what you need. You have 3 buildings, you have a road, and overall just a landscape that looks like it just needs a few more things. It needs some creative touches. So good luck with adding your creative touches and have fun with this, truly.